There has to be some common sense.
Yes, sir. They have the car stopped at 10th and Branch, Michael Weiser.
We still don't know who pulled the trigger.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories. I'm your host, Bill Cannon, a retired 27-year NYPD detective sergeant from Manhattan North Homicide Squad. Guys, so much going on in the last few days. I was covering yesterday that horrible case up in Buffalo, the active shooter. Just a horrific case. Potentially, I may cover that later on tonight, but there's some breaking things on that, some more information on that. However, there's more information on this day 4 of this escaped inmate in Texas. And there it is on the screen. His name is Gonzalo Lopez. He attacked the driver of the bus, and then he was able to flee. And he's serving a life sentence for capital murder. So the search continues for a Texas inmate serving a life sentence for murder who escaped from a transport bus after stabbing the driver. The Texas Department of Criminal Justice said the reward for his capture is now up to $50,000. Gonzalo Lopez escaped custody on Thursday in Leon County, a rural area between Dallas and Houston. The bus driver's injuries weren't considered life-threatening. Classes were canceled in the Friday in the nearby Centerville Independent School District as a precaution. The Texas Department of Criminal Justice posted video and photos on social media showing the Texas Department of Public Safety and law enforcement agencies using horse and canine teams to search for in rural Leon County on Sunday. The Texas Department of Criminal Justice says a $50,000 reward is being offered for information leading to Lopez's capture. If you know of his whereabouts, please call our Crime Stoppers tip line 1-800-832-8477 or 936-437-5171. At the time of his escape, there were 16 other prisoners aboard the bus, but no one else escaped. Lopez was convicted in 2006 of killing a man along the Texas-Mexico border. So you can see he's a what you would call in the criminal justice field as a desperado, a real dangerous guy. It's amazing how these escaped inmates are able to stay out there as long as they do. I mean, obviously, Casey White, they were out there for 11 days, almost 12 days. We all know how that ended. And this is going to end in a similar fashion. One of the things that we found out about him is that he does have connections with organized crime. Specifically, it's something called the Mexican Mafia. Whether he has connections outside the prison walls or is that just inside the prison walls, that remains to be seen. But he is, however, a dangerous guy. And folks in that area, I think that Texans, they're big time Second Amendment people. So when something dangerous like this happens, someone dangerous escapes in their neighborhood, they don't need to be told by authorities, oh, lock your doors and hide. They're not going to hide in their house, all right? They're going to get strapped with their guns and they're going to live their life and they're going to protect their home and their family. I cringe when I hear these news reporters and these public information people, oh, lock yourself in your house. No, that's not Texans. They're not going to lock themselves in their house. They're going to deal with this problem. And to tell you the truth, I think this guy should fear the citizenry more than he should fear these deputy commissioner of public information people. This is from News Nation. Let me play. And this is maybe over the last couple of days. So some of it may be a little bit dated, but there's some good information here.
The state's top 10 most wanted fugitives list. His name is Gonzalo Lopez. He is serving a life sentence for capital murder and attempted capital murder. Authorities say he assaulted a corrections officer on a bus that was transporting prisoners yesterday, crashed that bus, and then he got away. Authorities are warning people in that area tonight, lock your doors, lock your
So, folks, the day he escaped was Thursday afternoon. So this is a little bit dated because he's now been out there. This is going on the fourth day.
Cars and stay inside. Some schools even went on lockdown within the last few hours. Senior national correspondent Brian Nenton joining us live in Centerville, Texas tonight with the latest on this manhunt. Brian.
Marnie, this is especially disturbing because this man is so dangerous and because there have been no sightings of him up until now. So many questions about how this could have happened. We are told that he was shackled at his feet and he also had handcuffs on. He somehow managed to get out of both of those. He used some kind of tool to break into the cage where the driver was and managed to take over the bus.
The search for Gonzalo Lopez continues.
In Centerville, Texas, all eyes are on the woods just west of Interstate 75.
12, 13 cars, helicopters, horses, dogs. Sometimes there's been 200-300 people right here.
Jameis Kavanaugh has been watching since this all began Thursday afternoon. He says he figures with this many law enforcement out, Centerville is the safest place in Texas right now. In all, more than 300 law enforcement officers have swarmed this area, and there is now a $15,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of Gonzalo Lopez.
I believe the reward has been up to $50,000 to catch this desperado.
This man is a very dangerous person. If you see him, do not attempt to take him into custody by yourself. Contact 911. Have local law enforcement deal with him. He is someone not to be reckoned with by yourself.
So why are they so concerned about Lopez? Well, not only did he overpower 2 guards in yesterday's escape, his rap sheet includes several extremely violent attacks.
He has a capital murder conviction out of Hidalgo County. He also has an attempted capital murder conviction out of Webb County. He killed a man in 2005 with a pickaxe after kidnapping the man and asking for a ransom for his return.
Of course, the biggest question now is where is the fugitive? But as the investigation into what happened continues, there are other tough questions the Department of Criminal Justice must answer. Can you describe the restraints that he had on in the bus? Was he shackled? And how is it possible that he was able to get out of those?
He was wearing handcuffs. He had handcuffs, leg restraints also. How he got out of them, we do not know.
So he got out of the handcuffs and the leg restraints?
Yeah, he got up into the driver's compartment. Are you aware of what happened?
Yes.
He got up into the driver's compartment. He had nothing on his legs or in his head when he took out across the cow pasture.
You know, I think everyone wants to know, how did that happen? How did he have no shackles on his legs? How did he obtain this weapon? How was the security on this bus this loose? I mean, this DCPI, this Deputy Commissioner of Public Information guy's saying it matter-of-factly. No, we, the public, who now have to deal with this escaped murderer, want to know how was the mistakes made that allowed him to escape and take over that bus.
And so right now there is a $15,000 reward for any information.
That's been up to $50,000 reward.
Information that could lead to this inmate. They're using horses and they've got dogs out in the woods behind me, and they expect to search all night long. Marnie.
Wow. Brian, do they think that he's still in that area? What indication do they have in terms of evidence where he may be?
They do. They say they have not had any sightings of him, but they believe he is still in this area. They've basically set up a perimeter. When I was driving in along the highway, you could see, every 500 feet or so, there was someone just watching the wood line. They still believe he's somewhere right in the vicinity of this area.
Well, the other thing we keep hearing is how dangerous Gonzalo Lopez is, his criminal history. What more can you share about his past?
I mean, it doesn't get much more dangerous than this. First of all, he was convicted of killing someone with a pickaxe. Imagine how brutal that is.
You know, they keep mentioning that he killed someone with a pickaxe. That shows you what a savage this guy is. Just pickaxe. Yeah, wonderful weapon of choice. This guy is, I'd say someone that kills someone with a pickaxe is pretty damn dangerous.
He's also been in trouble before for shooting at deputies. So obviously the officers here on the scene can't take any chances.
All right, standing by. Brian, we'll be talking to you again shortly. Thank you. I want to bring in Robert Hurst now with the Texas Department of Criminal Justice to talk more about this fugitive manhunt. Sir, we appreciate you coming on tonight. So give us an update. What's the latest on the search?
Well, let me add to what Brian just told you. The reward is now up to $22,500.
It's up to $50,000. This is a day. This report is about a day ago, so it's up to $50,000. An additional $7,500 has been put into the bank by Crime Stoppers here in Texas. So if anybody has information about this man, we need to get him in custody again, Gonzalo Lopez. If anybody got information about him, there's a $22,500 reward for him.
He is dangerous as they come, Robert. What is your message to the public right now if they come face to face with him?
Do not deal with him by yourself. Contact law.
Shoot him. Shoot him. All right. Don't like this. What if you have no choice?
Law enforcement officials, call 911. Do not engage this man on your own. He is very dangerous. As Brian told you, he killed a man with a pickaxe back in 2005. He also shot at sheriff's deputies in 2004. And now he's injured one of our officers during that takeover of the bus yesterday afternoon. And he's out there somewhere. We are not going to take this lightly. We are going to get him back in custody.
How quickly were you all able to set up a perimeter, and how far does that perimeter extend right now?
Well, we set it up pretty quick after this happened. We were very fortunate that there were law enforcement officers that were already in the area from the Jewett Police Department as well as the Leon County Sheriff's Department. When this incident happened yesterday afternoon, they immediately set up a perimeter along with the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. It only took us maybe about 30, 45 minutes to get this perimeter set up. The perimeter goes down Highway 7 out of Centerville, westbound over to Highway 79 to a town called Marquay. And then from Marquay up Highway 79 to a town called Buffalo. And then from Buffalo back down to Centerville on Interstate 45. We have, with the Texas Department of Public Safety, we have shut down Highway 7 going westbound. So any traffic that's coming through here, it's not going to go westbound so that we can maintain this perimeter.
So, folks, just to give you an update, this is day number 4. So this report is probably coming out either yesterday or the day before. So this is the 4th day. So he's out there, or he's out of the United States. Could he be in Mexico? Absolutely. He has some connections in the outside world, in the criminal world. So he could have also had people waiting for him at a certain location. So he could very well be in the wind. So this could all be for naught. These folks on horseback, helicopters, all-terrain vehicles, but they have not caught him. This is day 4.
Also, if anybody is using Highway 79, we're encouraging the public, please not use Highway 79 if at all possible. It is a major thoroughfare, but we would appreciate it if the public did not use Highway 79 as well. A lot of truck traffic goes up and down Highway 79, so we're just trying to keep that at a minimum. And also Interstate 45, we can't do anything about shutting down I-45, but we are asking the public to please be very aware of what's going on here. If they're traveling down I-45 going between Dallas and Houston, Centerville is the halfway point between Dallas and Houston on I-45. So if anybody's using that roadway, that interstate, we're also asking them to please be very aware of what's going on here.
You know, folks, sometimes it's a mistake to shut down major thoroughfares because the eyes of the public is very much going to help law enforcement. So if you just shut down a major artery that this escaped desperado could potentially be using, you're losing all of those eyes and ears that potentially could help the police in capturing this guy. So I don't know what their methodology, what their reason is for it, but I found in those situations, sometimes it's a big mistake to shut down these roads.
Let's talk more about the escape. Any evidence indicating that he had a plan prior to getting out of those shackles and overtaking the bus driver?
It's part of our ongoing investigation. I can't address that right now. It's still part of the ongoing investigation.
Is there a video camera on that bus that can help as you guys piece together all the clues?
Unfortunately, there is not.
See, I find that to be outrageous. Here's a prison van, 16 prisoners on it, and it has no video. Like, are you trying to cut costs? What the hell is that all about? There's video all over this damn world. There's not one in a prison bus that's transporting dangerous criminals. No video camera, inexcusable. I want to hear the excuses once this is over.
What more can you tell us about?
But unfortunately, let me tell you this: the two officers that were involved yesterday in the situation, Officer Breniger and Officer Smith, those two officers that were on the bus, they are being very cooperative with our investigators, talking about what happened. And let me tell you, these two officers were very heroic in what they did. They were dealt with a very serious situation with this guy that you know what his background is like. Officer Smith was in a physical altercation with him. He tried to get Officer Smith's gun. Officer Smith made sure that he did not get his gun, and Officer Breniger shot at him with his shotgun as well as his pistol as he was fleeing the scene. So the officers were very heroic in making sure that this situation that was already bad did not get worse.
Yeah, no doubt. It could have been much, much worse. What weapon did he use to stab the officer who was driving the bus?
We don't know. We're still trying to determine what it was that he used. It was some type of a sharp object that he used to both get underneath the doorway. He cut out that metal portion of the doorway. Whatever he used to cut that out.
You know, that's outrageous too. You know, the section that the driver of the bus in is almost like a gated cage. It has like, you know, cage around it. How is this inmate able to cut away the cage? I mean, it's just, to me, it's baffling. Something is very wrong here. And the fact that there's no video to show what this guy was doing, there's some buffoonery here. I'm telling you that right now.
Is also what he used to stab Officer Smith in the left hand and also stab him in the chest.
As part of protocol and procedures before these inmates are loaded up onto a bus, are they searched? Are they strip searched for any possible weapons or anything that they could do something like this?
Yes.
And did that happen?
Yes.
And they found nothing?
At some point, he got some type of an object. We don't know where, but at some point, he got that object that he used to get into the driver's compartment.
Well, maybe if you had the video cameras working or on the bus, you would know. But so you'll never know because there's incompetence here.
And also to assault Officer Smith.
Are you aware at any point, is he getting help, and does he have any connections to the cartels, given his criminal past with drugs?
I can't address that.
All right. Any other thing you can pass along tonight on the search, the manpower, the people that are out there looking for this dangerous fugitive?
We've got in excess of 300 law enforcement officials here looking for him. It's gone past 24 hours now. And the word that we want to get out to the public.
Well, folks, it's actually day 4 now. Okay, so this was early on. He's still out there, or he's out of the country. He could very well be in Mexico. He could be gone. And, you know, it's not impressing me that they got 300 law enforcement, 45 horses, 2 helicopters. It's not impressive. They didn't catch the guy. Let's get this guy. You know, there's been some real incompetence here, and this shouldn't be happening.
Public is be very aware that this man is very, very dangerous.
If you
see him or if you have any indication that he's been on your property, please contact the local law enforcement officials through 911. Be very aware of what's going on here. If anybody lives in this area, we've gotten the word out to them to, you know, please either stay in your home, or if you do leave your home, lock it up good, lock up your vehicles. We don't want anything to happen where he gets into somebody's house and causes a worse situation inside somebody's home, or gets in a vehicle and causes a worse situation, or maybe is even able to get out of the area. We just want to get this guy back in custody.
All right. Well, our best to you and your teams, and we'll be checking back in with you. Robert Hurst with the Texas Department of Justice. Thank you for your time tonight, sir.
So, guys, that report was being reported from 2 to 3 days ago. So, obviously, this is day number 4. He escaped on Thursday. So, he could be anywhere, and he could be outside the country. He could still be laying low. He could be laying in someone's house, someone's barn. But right now it's day 4. So all the smoke and mirrors they're throwing up there, he's still not back in custody.
You're welcome.
Jack Johnson is retired from the Federal Bureau of Prisons, and he is joining us now. Jack, appreciate you coming on. Let's start with this case. You just heard Robert Hurst there describing how this fugitive was able to get out of his shackles and overtake the officer who was driving the bus and get away. What stands out to you about the circumstances here?
Yeah, this is very unusual as far as a bus operation. For somebody to get out of their shackles and overtake the bus is unique. Actually, it's as far as like protocols go. He talked about the strip search before they go into the bus. It's not unusual for people to get out of restraints, but I have to assume there might have been a breach of protocol as far as when he got in the bus to have that object to, facilitate the escape of what he did.
Right.
Sometimes correction officers, of course, they've seen everything and they'll say, oh, this object could have been secreted inside a body cavity. And as horrendous as that seems to the layman and to the person not in the correction business, they've seen this happen numerous times before. And could this have happened in this instance? Yes. And that's one of the things that, again, we find it so horrific. But you got to realize these people are prisoners. They're serving life. They will do anything to try to get away.
Not only to get out of the handcuffs, the shackles, but then to try to get through that door. Typically on a bus like this, I mean, what is the barrier between the inmates and the officers?
Yeah, well, something that struck out to me is that ordinarily, I'm federal, I have a federal career, so we always had a chase vehicle. So it would be unusual for two people to go out.
Folks, there's another thing. When he mentions a chase vehicle, 16 inmates on a bus, real dangerous guys. Why is there not a chase vehicle behind? Are they trying to save money? Why is there not a vehicle in case or the eventuality? What if the bus breaks down? Did they just rely on a radio? Wouldn't it be smart to have another vehicle on the scene with potentially two other correction officers armed with shotguns? So something like this does not happen. I mean, it's just crazy. So a chase vehicle, whoa, voila, light bulb, yes.
With a busload of people and do a movement. So there's usually a chase vehicle. So I have to assume this was isolated to the two officers. And, so to me, it's definitely, unusual for him to get out of the restraints, which is not as unusual, but then to have some kind of an object to get to the driver. That's definitely unique.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's almost like we were talking in the newsroom today, the movie Con Air, right? It's reminiscent of that. And we're just glad that more inmates weren't able to get away in the process. Talk about, though, the vulnerabilities in transport, because as soon as you leave the secure prison facility, whatever it might be, and you transport inmates, you open the doors to a lot of different possibilities. So what steps need to be taken, not just in this instant, but every day to make sure things like this don't happen?
Well, you said an important thing is that in a prison environment, everything is very controlled. So like staff, all the protocols, extremely controlled. Once you step out of that controlled environment, obviously, that's where things can happen. Escapes seem to be on the uprise, but from secure environments, they really aren't. So in the transport, it's basically definitely a more challengeable situation once you get out in the community. So obviously, when you have like the Vicky White situations where there's staff corruption, I'm not saying there was a breach of protocol in this case, but, when we talk about the strip search, people don't do thorough strip searches. People cut corners. A strip search is a strip search. Like somebody could actually have an object on their body in an orifice, to be honest with you. And if they're not paying attention to protocols, boom, they're on the bus and they have an object and now they can facilitate an escape.
Well, and it's speculative, but in order to do all that, get the object, in this case, do you need help? I mean, you need somebody who's giving you things, feeding you information, or can you do it on your own?
No, definitely do it on your own. Let's talk about the getting out of their restraints. Throughout my career, people can get out of restraints. It's really not that difficult to get out of restraints. Now getting out of the restraints and having the object, now you start to, there's definitely different facets of this, but getting out of restraints is it's not unusual or atypical in a prison environment.
Really? That's surprising to me. I mean, then why have them if people can get out? Don't we need a better restraint?
Well, listen, we get into some like micro issues on. I
don't know. When we got a murderer on the run, it doesn't seem too micro.
Yeah, exactly. Escaped murderers aren't micro. It's pretty macro to me,
Macro to me, it seems very troubling.
No, I'm saying as far as micro, like at the federal level, not only do they have leg irons, handcuffs, they have what's called a black box and a belly chain. So in other words, the state protocols, the local protocols, everybody has their protocols. But at the federal level, aside from, again, leg irons, handcuffs, belly chain, black box, it's difficult in certain circumstances. And I don't know these exact circumstances, but people can get out of restraints.
And we saw it in this case, modern day Houdini. Let's just hope they catch him soon before he hurts anybody. Jack Johnson, appreciate you coming on tonight.
So, folks, there you have it. To me, it seems like there had to have been some security breaches on this, some protocols. Why wasn't he not shackled? Besides being handcuffed, shackles. If he had shackles, he wouldn't be able to run. Why? Why wouldn't you have shackles on a dangerous inmate like this? And 16 inmates on the bus. What were they all there singing? The wheels on the bus. The wheels on the bus go round and round. I mean, they should have shackles on, and just horrendous why they do not. And now they're all seems like they're covering their butts by, showing the scope of the search and all the horses and the helicopters. And how about not letting them escape in the first place?
The massive manhunt for 46-year-old Gonzalo Lopez continues as the sun sets on day 4. Lopez, who served a life sentence for murder and attempted murder, escaped last Thursday from a prison transport bus in Leon County, just outside of Centerville. Hundreds of law enforcement officers from several law enforcement agencies on the federal, state, local, and county level have been working around the clock to try and find Lopez. In Sunday's briefing, Texas Department of Criminal Justice Public Information Officer Robert Hurst was back on the scene. Hurst says while there have been some reports of sightings of Lopez, little information has come from those sightings. Hurst says several law enforcement teams are on horseback searching the thick wooded areas. There are also canine patrols on the ground and air support searching from above. While a large number of law enforcement personnel are in the area, officials say they have tightened the search perimeter where they believe Lopez is hiding out. Hurst says he believes this is the largest manhunt in recent Texas history. Hurst says the investigation into the escape is ongoing and did not provide any new details. Hurst reminded people there is a $50,000 reward for information leading to.
Tara Ellis, she asked the question, have there been any new updates today on this? The only new update, Tara, is that the reward is now up to $50,000. And just the fact that this is day 4 of this dangerous inmate not having been recaptured.
Lopez's arrest, but wants people to understand Lopez is a dangerous criminal and people should not put themselves in harm's way. If you see him, call 911 immediately. Centerville ISD reports school will resume on Monday, even if Lopez is not caught yet. We will continue to keep you updated when new information comes in on our social media pages, as well as KAGSTV.com. For your KAGS news update.
So, folks, that's the only real big update, of course, is that this is day 4 of this dangerous inmate being out there. Folks, this is Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories. If you like this podcast from a police perspective, please go on our YouTube, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, give us a thumbs up. And if you'd like to support us, we have a Patreon with 3 different levels. And we also have a channel membership, YouTube. You can see the folks in the green font that are members of our channel. And there's 5 different levels to that. So we'd appreciate all you folks that are supporting us. We appreciate all our I call them fans. Some people take umbrage at that. They want to be known as subscribers. Well, I'll call you a subscriber if that's what you like. I like the word fan because I think that you guys come back day after day and you listen to us and you care about what we say. And I find that great. And to me, you're a fan, not just a subscriber. So yeah, I mean, this is an amazing thing. As we've seen it, we came off the other case, of course, with Casey Casey White, Casey White, and Vicky White, and that was all about them planning the escape, and she was involved, and of course, she was a boss in the correctional system, and they had planned this for over 2 years. So very much different than the case that we're looking at with this sort of, I would say, desperado. Real dangerous guy. I mean, anyone that can kill someone with a pickaxe, that's a scary guy. He has ties. Sean Leonetti, yay, I agree, covering their asses. I think you're right. Juan Soto, he's already in Mexico by now. Come on, guys, stop wasting your time looking in the weeds. Well, something, at some point, if they don't see him, there's other, I wouldn't think that coming out of prison, he has a cell phone. Could he acquire a cell phone, or could he acquire help from folks outside? Absolutely. But it's a little different with the investigation. I don't think that they have as much information because, they know from the prison records and from his calls and from his visitor list who comes to see him, who calls him on the telephone, and they can follow up those things. Follow up, where are his relatives? Where are his friends? Who's been visiting him in prison? Potentially that could be the same people that will help him to escape once he got out of that prisoner bus. Karen Kennedy, cutting costs does not work. Think of the huge amount of money spent on catching these escapees. Just pay for a security camera on the bus. Yeah, Karen, I was baffled by that too. Like a prisoner bus. Really, there's no video camera on it. I find that pretty ridiculous. It just is not something that you'd expect professionals in this day and age to be dealing with, that there's no camera on the prisoner bus. I mean, I don't want to beat it to death, but it really is sort of ridiculous. When you think in this day and age, there are cameras every place you turn around, cell phone cameras, mounted cameras, vehicle cameras. Police have wear body-worn video. So all of those things.
Arrest of the man who is a convicted murderer. Authorities say Gonzalo Lopez stabbed a guard who was driving a prison bus yesterday, causing the bus to crash. Lopez then fled into the woods and hasn't been seen since. Our Jason Miles is live up in Centerville, Texas. Jason, I understand officials are giving constant updates.
That's right, Lynn. A Department of Criminal Justice spokesman is recapping the situation every couple of hours or so, but I'm told not to expect any major developments or major news until this escaped convict is either spotted or caught. Tactical officers were among those rolling into a closed perimeter this afternoon, more than 24 hours since the search for convicted murderer Gonzalo Lopez began.
He is a very dangerous person.
In addition to a life sentence for a capital murder conviction in Hidalgo County, Lopez is serving time for the attempted murder of a sheriff's deputy in Webb County.
He killed a man in 2005 with a pickaxe after kidnapping the man and asking for a ransom for his return.
We're told Lopez was somehow able to get loose and stab the driver of this transport bus in the hand and chest while on the way from Gatesville to Huntsville. He drove off in the bus but did not get far thanks to another guard who shot out the back tires before shooting at Lopez as he ran away.
Is there any indication at all that he may have had help somewhere?
It's an ongoing investigation.
I just wonder how the guard that was in the back with the shotgun, he was able to shoot out the tires of the bus, but he didn't recapture him. I'm a little baffled by that. How was that, unless he just did not want to leave the other correction officer alone with 15 or 16 other inmates? But I'd really like that. That's part of the investigation too. I'd like to know what exactly occurred there, because it just doesn't sound kosher to me. It doesn't sound copacetic, as they say.
Can't answer that right now.
This is the area on which law enforcement is primarily focused, generally from Centerville to Marquay to Buffalo and back down along I-45, parts of which are being blocked by DPS to keep people from entering the search area while encouraging everyone to be very cautious.
Well, it's kind of scary. I assume they know which direction he went in.
Look like it's going to be a pretty good manhunt trying to find him.
What's your advice to people who live in this area?
Lock your doors. Stay in the house.
And that's exactly what officials are telling people who live in this area to do as well. And don't try to engage or capture this guy yourself. For goodness sakes, call 911 immediately. And just to recap, there is now a $15,000 reward for information leading to Mr. Lopez's capture. Reporting live from Centerville, Jason Miles, K.
My advice is to strap up, lock and load, and do not attempt to apprehend him, but defend yourself and your home. That's not to cower like these people are telling you to do. You know, it's no, lock and load, be ready, and just defend your home and your family. Aaron, I'm about 2 hours away from his escape place. He's moving at night if still in the area. Too hot and humidity will dehydrate him in only a few hours. He has help. No way is he on his own if still here. You know something, Aaron? I agree with you. I think that he has help somewhere. And I don't think that, he's just wandering by himself. This is day number 4. And I would imagine that terrain, as you said, is very, very hot. You get dehydrated. I'm sure he found a place or two to find water. But where's he finding food? This is day number 4. I don't know about you guys, but if I don't eat every day, I get pretty hungry, And he's used to being fed like a dog that gets fed the same time every day, being in a prison. New York State FOIL ordered it. Why did the guard not shoot him on the bus? I think this is a cartel planned escape. New York State FOIL ordered it. That'll be part of the investigation, the internal investigation. Yeah, what the hell happened here? Why did they not shoot this guy? They said they shot the tires. Teresita Hills, thank you for the $3 super chat, super sticker. Thank you very much. Cat Sanctuary, hi, Bill. It's Sarah from Oregon. Great to see you folks from across the country. Teresita Hills, yes, Bill. That was my first question about the guy with the shotgun. Right, like exactly. Why did he shoot the tires and not the individual? Because I think the rules of engagement for correctional officers, I think they are allowed to shoot someone that's trying to escape. I could be wrong. I mean, technically, he creates an imminent danger, not just to the correctional officers, but to the community. This guy is what I call a desperado. Rose M, hi, Bill from Maryland. Oh, look at the guys from all over the place. Anthony Argueta, the guy was part of the mafia. It's called the Mexican Mafia. I think the Mexican Mafia is a gang that has originated and has ties in the prison system in the South, specifically, Texas and those areas, Florida. A large population of prison inmates, of course, are Mexican. So they formed this prison organized crime group called the Mexican Mafia. So I don't know if it's just inside the walls of a prison or do they exist outside. Natalia Carmona, TDJCMT is a legit corrupt. You're talking about the prison, the corruption, the guards. They hire anyone, and this incident shows a lot about this system. Look into every single guard as well. Look, there's corruption in corrections jobs all over the country, not just in Texas. FL Geoscientist. I used to work for Texas Department of Correctional as an officer. Inmates are transported in cuffs and leg irons attached to a belt around the inmate's waist. It's a wonder how he managed to escape those restraints. Yes. Did he have help? How did he get that weapon? These are all the questions we're asking here. Bigfoot, I got him in the woods. Very funny, but no one's got him so far. Teresita Hills, he attacked the other guard. He's in imminent danger unless he knew that he wouldn't attack him. Everyone's got their little conspiracy theories here. But as you could see by his photos, he looks very comfortable. He's a very comfortable lifer in prison. These guys, they look comfortable with their prison face on, but once they get outside, they show that they do not belong being free with the rest of the free population out there. Just horrendous. And again, this is day number 4, and he's still not apprehended. He's still out there, and that's a scary thing, because this guy, again, is dangerous, so dangerous that you could see how many the bodies they're putting on this. They're putting lots of resources now. Maybe they should spend some of their resources on a camera system for the bus. John Donahue, how could he remove part of the door and nobody heard him? I'd like to know that too, John Donahue. I would definitely like to know that. Kathleen Barnes, who checks the bus? Did someone put something on the bus before they got on it? Very good observation, Kathleen. Very possible. Exactly. Who is in charge of the security? Look, police officers, one of the things we learned, Vet Girl, thank you so much for 1999 super chat. Very much appreciated. And you wrote, thank you, POC. I always put the POTC just because POC was an acronym for something else. But that's fine. You can use whatever you want. Vet Girl, RW Bus, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Duty Ron, my buddy Duty Ron is on the air. I like when Duty Ron watches me. He's been supportive of this channel. In fact, he's helped me a great deal learn how to do this. Duty Ron, thank you for the $10 super chat, and thank you for the kind words. Folks, we have a police perspective, and we know in policing, lots and lots of mistakes are made every single day, and I'll be the first one to admit it. I made mistakes myself, except I followed strictly certain protocols that I would not waver from. And one of them was when we transported a prisoner, I or another cop would always sit in the back with the prisoner who was rear cuffed. You see a lot of cops get very loose, and they don't do that. And myself, being a boss, being a sergeant, if I saw that, I would stop the car and say, guys, why are you transporting this prisoner and you're both sitting in the front? You want to get killed? Is that, and they might think, oh, he's a prick, Sergeant Ken, or, oh, he's so worried. Yeah, I am worried. And if you follow the correct procedure, and I know I have Lieutenant Pete Pranzo in here, who did everything correctly his whole damn career, and he would echo exactly what I just said, Lieutenant Pete, that you cannot be careful enough. Lieutenant Pete Pranzo agreed, Bill. I cringe every time I hear this mutt's bio. If I'm transporting this mope, I would never take my eyes off him, coupled with a clear warning to him and the other prisoners. F around, click. Lieutenant Pete is 100% right. Whenever I hear the term mope, I sort of get ingratiated, and I feel like I'm home again. In Manhattan Central Booking, when I first came on the job, and it was 1985, when you brought the perp into Central Booking, they had these 2 footprints on the floor, and that's where the perp was supposed to stand to have his picture taken. But right next to the footprints, it said mope. And I just thought that was so funny. Today, they would have a huge investigation, and whoever wrote mope would probably lose 2 weeks vacation. But it was just a funny thing to go into Central Booking and see the footprints and then see the term mope around it. And I found that to be pretty damn funny. But, they wouldn't have that today because we're kinder. Luke D., you ever been hungry, man? Yeah, I've been hungry before. Not as hungry as not eating for 3 or 4 or 5 days. That's real hunger. That's pains. That's passing out hunger, right? So I've been hungry, but not that hungry. And I know that the pains of hunger, and not to the extent of not eating for 4 or 5 days. That is the real pains of hunger. New York State FOIL auditor. How did this incident go unnoticed by cars driving by? No cell phones. No cell phone footage in this day and age is not normal. I don't think this was a heavily trafficked area. So I think that that's probably how it was unnoticed. Pauline robbed. If they don't see chicken hawks, vultures circling that perimeter, that should be a heads up that he's still alive. He may not be in that area. You know, Pauline robbed, the term chicken hawk in New York stood for a pedophile that was looking for young boys. And that's when I hear that term, I hear chicken hawk. I'm like, oh my God, that's that horrible slang. There's always slang. Every term always has more than one meaning to it, you know. Dab Josh, yes, it's a rural area, so not a lot of traffic, not a lot of people going by with cameras. So, you know, very, very easy for there not to have been a recording of this. So what do we do now? What do we do now? I think what we have to do now is just keep the pressure on. But we also need an investigative component to capture this guy. What does that mean? That means we go door to door in the areas that he potentially could have been in and speak to the people that live in the area. Have you seen anything? Have you heard anything? Has anything unusual happened on or around your property? We question anyone who's ever visited him in prison. We question his family to see if they've heard from him. Could they have possibly have heard from him? Yes. So this is where the search component meets the investigative component. Very, very, very important to do that. And that's the only way you look. And look, they got to keep the pressure on. They cannot cut back on the amount of people searching for this guy. They cannot cut back on the pressure. Folks, Joe Murray is a retired NYPD police officer who is also an attorney. If you need a great attorney, a criminal law attorney in the New York metropolitan area, Joe Murray is your man. You can reach Joe at cell phone number 718-514-3855, or you can email him at joe@jmurray-law.com. He has a website, jmurray-law.com. Joe Murray is a great friend of the show, and he is also a fantastic attorney. And that sort of goes without saying because he is so busy right now that he can't even, we've asked him to come on the show numerous times. John Beatty Law, www.jbdlaw.com. John Beatty is a renowned personal injury attorney. He's also retired as a decorated NYPD sergeant. John comes from a proud NYPD and FDNY family. He was an active sergeant in Brooklyn North and supervised in the legal bureau. John is a proud member of the Honor Legion and the Blue Knights. John Beatty litigates across the country for seriously injured victims and has helped recover over $200 million for grieving families. Call John now for a free consultation. John Beatty, 917-797-9520. I love it that we had all these great cops that became attorneys while they were on the police department. They went to law school. You know how difficult that is? Anyone that's out there that got a law degree at nighttime or got a law degree part-time, it took double the amount of time, or got a law degree working full-time and going to law school full-time. I take my hat off to these guys, and I know both of them, tremendous individuals. And I just wanted to say that, give them kudos. I always give them kudos whenever I speak about them. Alicia B., has it been reported if he is a U.S. or Mexican citizen and where his family resides? I don't think, Alicia, that it has been reported, but I'm sure that the powers that be have that information. Pauline Robb, police off the cuff. Oh, no, I'll never use that term again. Vultures it is. She used the term chicken hawk, and I told her that was that's like a pedophile who goes after young boys. That's the expression in New York, a chicken hawk, and that's one of the things. Look, there's slang for everything, and that happens to be the slang for that. Let me play a little bit of this, guys.
that begins right where the bus crash happened. We have had a few calls of homeowners where they have possibly seen Lopez. The only visual sighting that we had of him was on Thursday afternoon, just a few hours after the bus crash. He was spotted underneath a tree. And since that time, he has not been. But I can tell you that our information continues to be, and we continue to believe that he is in this area, and we don't have any information that takes him out of this area at this time. The reward for Lopez's capture right now is $22,500.
Folks, it's actually up to $50,000. Again, this is dated by a day or two.
We would encourage anybody that has information about his whereabouts, may know something, may have seen something, would encourage you to reach.
Vet Girl, RW Bus, how many prisoners were being transferred with him, please? And thank you. There was 16. And thank you so much for the 1999 super chat. I really, really appreciate that. I believe there was a total of 16 prisoners. And when you talk about that, 16 prisoners, yet there's no cameras, I think that's a little bit crazy.
Reach out to local law enforcement and please share that information. Lopez is an individual that is dangerous. He has a disregard for human life. That's obvious from his convictions, and it's obvious from his escape. But I can tell you that TDCJ will not rest until Lopez has been captured. So this search will continue until he's back in custody.
Now, I know on the bus there was 15 other inmates on that bus. Could he possibly be looking at a kidnapping charge as well if caught, since he did take the bus and there were still inmates?
You know, someone you all loved just posted in the chat. They need to put a chip in these criminals like they do in animals. You know, you all loved. One of the guys I used to work with used to say that once you had committed over a certain amount of felonies, you should be chipped. So it's I appreciate your idea, and others have had that idea. I don't know if it would pass the muster of being legal, probably not, but it's a good idea.
Certainly we'll look at all charges. He's doing a life sentence at the moment, but potentially looking at aggravated assault on a public servant, and as well as an escape charge. And that escape charge would be stacked on top of his life sentence.
Do you know, does he have any connection to the cartel or Mexican gang?
Yes. Lopez does have a long history in dealing with gangs, both on this side of the border, on the other side. Lopez was convicted of kidnapping and murdering an individual, torturing that person, and then beating them to death with a pickaxe because they didn't.
New York State FOIL auditor, there should have been 2 guards on that bus, one in the front and one in the rear. The driver needs to be focused on the road and be looking out for the following vehicles, not focused on the prisoners. New York State FOIL auditor, there was a guy in the rear with a shotgun, and there was the individual up front who was armed with, of course, the handgun, and he was the one that was attacked with the cutting object. So they did comply with that. However, he still was able to overpower them.
Pay a ransom. So we know that he's dangerous. He's proven that. And so we're not going to be taking any chances.
Is it possible the cartel or a Mexican gang could be coordinating to try to get him, bring him over the border?
You know, at this time, we don't believe that there's any information that pulls him out of this area. Certainly, we do believe that he planned the escape. That's something that we do believe over time. He worked to have a weapon, a homemade weapon, as well as figure out some way to get out of his hand restraints. But at this time, we don't believe necessarily that he's left this area. So if he has any help, it's not helping him at the moment.
Yesterday, we were told he had shackles on and also handcuffs. Are you sure he had shackles on?
I could tell you that he had restraints, and I'm not going to get into specifics, but obviously he was able to remove those restraints. And so that's going to be part of the investigation to determine how exactly did he do that.
Have you all identified the type of weapon that he could have possibly gotten out of the bus to even cut in and opening into the door to get to the driver?
Sure. So he was able to open at the bottom of where he was at is a mesh cage, if you will, and he was able to use something. We don't know exactly what that is in order.
Dale Nobles, this is from the chat. You can shoot an escaping prisoner, but putting a monitoring device around the ankle is cruel. Isn't that unbelievable, Dale? I'm sure you mean that in a sarcastic fashion, but it's so true. It's just crazy.
In order to make a square area in order to get out. We don't know exactly what that was. We do believe it was probably a homemade weapon that he used, and probably the same weapon that he used to assault the driver.
Where was he on the bus? How are they doing? And especially the officer that was stabbed.
Sure. So it was not a life-threatening wound, and so they're doing okay. I can tell you they were shook up, obviously. Certainly, those officers acted very swiftly. The driver was able to pull that bus over and physically go hand-to-hand with Lopez. Enough time for the back officer to get out, get his weapon, and engage Lopez. So both officers acted very swiftly, but they are recovering and certainly appreciate their efforts in doing their jobs.
Now, have they returned back to duty to help with the efforts to stop Lopez?
No, they have not.
So where was he initially located?
He was located towards the front of the bus. And so on a prison bus, you've got the driver, and then there is a screened in area where you're going to have higher custody inmates. That's where Lopez was at. There's another screened in area. That's where lower custody inmates are at. And then back behind that is a screened in area, and that's where the back transportation officer is at. And so Lopez was with the higher custody inmates. He was shackled. And then the driver is armed and the back transport officer is armed.
So how did
BT26X from the chat. It sounds like the officer in the back was a little slow while the driver was getting attacked. I don't know why he didn't put bullets in Lopez. You know, we don't know the full story, but yeah, we'll be interested to hear the results of the investigation in regards to that. Vet Girl, RW Bus, criminals are getting worse, in my opinion. There's going to be a need for a follow car, scary times. Yes, they called it the other federal correctional officer who was on before. He said they called that the chase car. And why they don't have a chase car in this instance is beyond me.
did the back officer not observe him moving forward to make his attempt?
He did. The hole in which he came out of was very low. And so it's very likely that the back officer would not have been able to see that. But whenever he did come out of that area, the back officer did notice that he was coming for the transportation officer.
Are residents being able to access highway? I've seen more cars kind of be able to go past the
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if DPS is letting people that live back there specifically go back there. I can tell you what it looks like right now is every about 150 feet, we've got a correctional officer that's stationed. And so that perimeter, again, is pretty significant. It goes all the way around. And that has been pretty tight throughout the last 48 hours. And so what's going to continue to happen is that perimeter, unless it needs to change, we're going to just continue to choke it down until eventually we find Lopez in there.
Frank Marsha, I'm trying to figure out how he was restrained. We also transported with 3 officers armed and inmates were in handcuffs, leg irons, and waist chains attached to a black box over the handcuffs. I take it, Frank, and I think you've been on, I know you from the chat, you were former or you're active correctional officer. So I appreciate your expertise in letting us know that.
I spoke to one resident in a Zoom interview a little bit before this interview here.
Sure.
And she is in between one of the perimeters right now. So she said during the day she feels very safe, but at night she doesn't feel so secure. Are officers still maintaining their presence here 24 hours?
Absolutely. Certainly at nighttime, we're going to be just as much during the daytime because we know that potentially is when he may move. And so this command is going to continue until we have reason to stop it.
Do you believe the chances of finding him went down since it's now been 48 hours?
I don't think so. I don't like to put chances on anything, but I'll just tell you that we're going to continue to work very hard until Lopez is back in custody.
Any more caution to residents here as they continue to go back to work on Monday and kind of move forward?
You know, certainly we would tell residents to be cognizant of their surroundings. When they leave their home, make sure that those are locked up any firearms that they have. Obviously, you'd want to lock those up as well. But again, I think it's just being aware of your surroundings as you move forward.
Are you guys getting any kind of information out of the other inmates or anything like that?
Won't get into those specific, but absolutely, those inmates have been interviewed and have shared some information.
New York State FOIL auditor from the chat. Could it be possible that the tools and weapon was placed where he was seated by a corrupt guard? He couldn't have hidden a weapon and tool inside himself to cut through something like this was planned. New York State FOIL auditor, I agree with you. And anything is possible. That's for sure. Well, Sarah Nail saying New York State FOIL audit to the guard could have had his family threatened. Guys, all of these are possibilities, and through the investigation, after the fact here, we'll come up with some more information in regards to what actually occurred.
A portion of our interview is being taped on Facebook Live right now. I do have one community member saying they need to check, is it Marquez, I'm sorry?
Marquez?
Marquez, there we go. Marquez at storage buildings, are you guys checking all the perimeters, every type of avenue you guys can possibly check?
Yes, sir. So we know where all the structures are at within that perimeter and are working diligently to check those structures. I would like to give a special thank you, certainly to the Leon County Sheriff's Department, as well as the many local police departments that are here, as well as the Texas DPS and the U.S. Marshals who are actively involved in this search. They've been fantastic and continue to provide all the resources and efforts to find Lopez.
Have you guys determined whether you said he's been planning this for a while? Did you guys determine if he had any internal help or anything?
That's still part of the investigation. It does appear that he had some forethought and planning. What's not clear is whether he had any specific help from other inmates.
Or any staff, maybe?
There's no indication at that point, but that certainly is part of the investigation.
Have you all checked abandoned homes or possibly farmhouses? I know some were saying that there's a lot of empty houses in the area that he could possibly be hiding out in.
Yes. So that's something obviously that we're doing very strategically, is going through and checking those structures. But there's a lot of structures that are in that perimeter, from old abandoned barns to deer blinds to houses. And so you have to be very methodical as you go through there. And I can just tell you, as I've been through there, it's very thick woods. And so we know from Lopez's history and his previous attempts to get away from law enforcement that he'll stay put and lay low with the hopes that law enforcement will move to a different area. But I can just tell you, we're not going to move. Lopez is going to get back in custody.
One resident told me that there's been like some sightings on some game cameras that some residents may have. So you all also checking to see if residents have those and getting that footage as well?
Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
Well, folks, there we are. It's day 4. Nothing has changed in regards to them apprehending him. They haven't really released any insider information in regards to the investigation, anything that we or anyone else hasn't been privy to. But Ace CE, yeah, potentially he could be in Mexico. We don't know. Yeah, he could be anywhere. And that's why you can see I never rule out the possibility of anything. Anything is absolutely possible. So, folks, I'm going to stay on this case. I'll report again if there's any new updates. The only real updates is that the reward to find him is $50,000. Could he still be in the same area? His name is Gonzalo Lopez. We all heard numerous times of his dangerous background. He's a murderer. Killed someone with a pickaxe, which, that's something to have on your resume, right? Not only did you murder someone, but, and it was a murder for ransom, which makes it even worse. So capital murder. So he was sentenced basically to life in prison. And the thing that the public relations guy, who the gentleman we just had on, said that he's known to have escaped before, and one of his MO, his modus operandi, is to lay low until law enforcement leaves the area and then make his move. So he's an experienced prisoner. He's an experienced former escapee. What do you got? Rhino T. I'm not surprised at all. And like Casey, he has serious connections. He could be anywhere and he will blend in. Yeah, for sure, guys. So, guys, I want to thank everyone. Again, if you're not subscribed to Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories, go on our YouTube, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and give us a thumbs up. And if you want to subscribe to our Patreon, support us. We have 3 different levels. And you could join our YouTube family, become a channel member. We have 5 different levels to that. I'm seeing some folks in the chat late. Suman Shri, as long as he doesn't come back from Mexico, we're good. Wonder if he's hiding in a tunnel. And I hope the cops have insiders who can snitch on him. Axe murderer sounds gruesome. Well, it was actually a pickaxe. You're right. Horrible, right? Giovanni Abadi. Hey, everyone, it's only 4 miles. If they didn't find him by now, he's definitely not in that area anymore. Well, that's a very good possibility. So, guys, I want to thank everyone for coming by today, for listening in. This is Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories. I'm your host, Bill Cannon, retired NYPD Sergeant. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you again very soon, and be safe.
One episode just ain't enough.